things that I've got. I'm digging in moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine. Living Northwest wild, hunting, fishing is my kind of style. I float the Wainuchi when it gets hot. I'm proud I own the things that I've got. I'm digging in moss bags up in the sand, and after work a cold beer in my hand, picking wild berries off God's land, and drinking my buddy's homemade wine. In the Northwest wild.
Can we get a
countdown? Good evening and welcome. Tommy, pay attention. We are live, Mr.
Let's do a countdown next time.
Did you have something important to say? That's classic. 2 weeks back and you're just off the rails. Hey, welcome to Fish Hunt Northwest, waiting on Tommy Donlin, in case anybody had any other ideas who this might be sitting here. Man, great show lined up tonight. Tommy, we're bouncing all over the place. We got spring bass to talk about, Lower Columbia springers. We have a great presentation coming up in the Bay Lab, all about bottom fish and opportunities for lingcod, bottom fish, rockfish, sea bass. We have Sekiu Blackmouth.
Sekiu recap
on the mind. We got some video content we actually were able to capture the other day. Josh and I went out, met up with our buddy Matt Messing. Everybody's familiar with Matt Messing, messing around fishing charters, and had a pretty successful afternoon in the ever-changing weather, as it were, right?
Yeah, you bucked the waves a little bit too, huh?
Bucked the waves a little bit. We got our blackmouth, got into a decent number anyway, put some in the box, so we partook in that this evening, and it was amazing. I see
Mike Sturdick just tuned in. He says, we have a Springer report.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, indeedy. I'd love to hear it.
Fantastic. Throw that up on the old messenger here, Mike. And we are heading out Springer fishing next week with our buddy Chris Vertopoulos, Chris V's Guide Service. Nice segue, Tommy. We will be on the water with Chris next week, next Friday, April 2nd, a couple days before the closure. We're going to jump on board with Chris and get after some springers. He will be on the phone with us this evening, recapping springers as well. Looks like there's a number of fish being caught the last few days, so that's always positive when the springer numbers are going up. But before I get off the rails, jump way too far down the road here, we got a number of things to talk about. I want to remind everybody that Fish Hunt Northwest every week is presented by Better Homes and Gardens Pacific Commons Real Estate, Defiance Marine, located out in Bremerton, Washington, of course, Phoenix Protective Corp. More to say on that in a bit. I want to remind everybody, that camera? I want to remind everybody to follow us, www.fishhuntnw.com, where you can find all the fancy swag, the hats, all the new gear, all the new logos, all the new brands, all kinds of great stuff going on there. The website's been blowing up lately, Tommy. My phone goes off every time somebody checks in.
That's what you were saying.
And we got.
How do you get any sleep?
Well, I do turn it off at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we got people from Canada checking in. We got people from up north, way down south, Oregon, Texas, East Coast. We got folks coming in out of Michigan checking in. So reading our content, we promise we are going to work hard over the next couple months to get some updated blogs and stuff on there. Once we're out fishing, capturing photo content, writing blogs in all our spare time, we plan to get that going on.
Okay, so report fresh off the presses.
From Mike?
From Mr. Mike Sturdick. Cathlamet blew up today.
Oh, there you go.
We played 6 nice ones.
How about that?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's fantastic.
And if anybody knows Mike Sturdick, he knows how to spin a herring.
Absolutely.
So
yep,
I'm sure they're dialed.
That is getting it done.
Right on.
I like it, man.
Nice work, Mike.
Good. Yep. Well, we played 6 nice ones. Yeah, fantastic. Perfect. Well, we're going to get our shot at it next week. We'll talk to Chris a little later in the show. Before we get there, we have a number of things going on around the Pacific Northwest and beyond, Mr. Donlin. So, State and Tribal Co-Managers to host a virtual public discussion as part of the annual salmon setting season process.
Yeah.
So, for a long time, folks, recreational anglers and whatnot have been advocating let's open up these meetings. Can we please have some insight as to what these meetings look like? We just don't like the fact that the WDFW fishery managers and the co-managers that represent the tribes are meeting behind closed doors. We think it's unfair. A lot of discussions go on without us being able to see what's truly going on. WDFW for years has stated we are working towards more transparency. The tribes have let it know. They don't want people watching the meetings. That's just the way it is. The co-managers don't want people watching the meetings. They have now announced that they're going to do this. Now, I read this, knowing what I know, you knowing what you know, over the years of how these meetings go, and I feel WDFW and the co-managers are doing their best to put out an opportunity for folks to tune in. And that's good. You know, they're trying to create the presence of transparency. Yeah. They've also stated this meeting, which will be March 31st in the afternoon after the morning sessions of North of Falcon have concluded, 3 p.m. And we'll put the link up on our Facebook page here in the next couple days or so. We have time to put that out there, so you can all just go to our Facebook page, link on that, if you have an afternoon free on March 31st and want to listen to the proceedings. They're going to have discussions. Director Kelly Suswin will be on there giving some statements and some comment. Okay, I get it. They're putting information out to have the presence of more transparency. I am not one who honestly believes if I sit there and type in information, it's going to have any change as to what's already been agreed to. We've gone over the fact that they come to agreement on the list of agreed to fisheries, the loaf. Without the loaf, the seasons aren't set. The loaf is set before anybody has, you know, really anything to say. Our ad hoc groups, our community groups and whatnot that are spread all over the regions, different regions, they do have input. They do say, well, we'd rather see this versus this. And that's, you know, they're representing the masses, right? You kind of funnel that down to a handful of folks in each region, whether it's the Puget Sound Rec group, whether it's the Columbia River, whether it's the Grays Harbor, whether it's, you know, Sekiu, wherever it is, whatever region it is, you have those folks that represent you in that region, and they're your voice, and WDFW and the co-managers take that in. But I honestly believe, and as do many others, and that's why they've wanted the meetings open for years, is that these decisions are made long before you ever have anything to say. That's just my opinion on the overall process.
I think, you know, one of the challenges that they have really is that they've got to, you've got models, okay? You've got fish models, right? And both co-managers, both the tribe and WDFW have their own model, and they've got to integrate those two solutions. And when that solution tells you for a particular area that, hey, you really shouldn't have a fishery there, it requires a lot of out of the box thinking. Okay, and I could just see that if you did have a public meeting that was open during when a lot of these negotiations, and it is a negotiation, you know, we'd love to say, hey, there's a series of 1,000 calculations, and when you press the button, you get the answer, and then the fisheries are dedicated. That's not how this works. There's a lot of negotiating back and forth with the co-managers. And so I do feel that if you had public meetings that were trying to capture that part of the process, it would be highly disruptive, and I think it would actually go against the intent of trying to set the season. I do understand, though, that having a meeting at this time of the process, it seems a little bit late, and yeah, for the most part, it's probably decided, but I think there's a reason for that, right? Too much disruption too early in the process, and you may not get a season until you should be fishing. Right? So there's a fine line there. The other thing is, you know, everybody has something they want, right? Maybe you want to fish area 10, right? So you're looking to optimize what you get as an individual for your fishery, right? And you may say, hey, you know, don't let Tommy go whack him out in Nia Bay, because I know he's getting my Puget Sound kings. So limit them to one king. So when you get all these individuals, now you've totally divided all of the fishermen, and it just becomes problematic if those comments are getting into a public meeting when a lot of that work is trying to be done.
I agree, and well said, because folks who jump on these committees, they represent areas and regions that they particularly have a stake in. I mean, that's where they put in their time. That's their back door. That's, You know, and these folks that represent Puget Sound, they are strong advocates for the 1 or 2 areas that they really want to fish within those seasons that they've been, usual and accustomed to, so to speak.
Yep.
So we get it. People want to have a say. It gets really bogged down, convoluted, and difficult when there's so many people trying to fire in and get the I want this, I want this. I guess tip of the hat to WDFW for at least putting it out there via Zoom and social media, for providing content that people can listen to. You do have the option and the opportunity to comment in, and they do take your comments. Now, what they do with those comments, how much they put a stake in those, I would like to think they listen to what people say. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's so difficult to even come to agreement with the co-managers. They really don't have time to hear all that.
And I would say this is definitely a step in the right direction, because those comments are seen by everybody. So those comments are seen by the tribe. They're received also by, all of the folks that represent the sport fishing industry. And so I do think it's still important. And even though it may not have an impact directly on the outcome of this season, it's still going to have an imprint on the minds of many as that process happens year after year after year.
I'll be curious to see how it goes. If it's a positive outlook and folks chime in and say, hey, this was great, please do more of this, I guarantee WDFW will do more of it.
Yeah.
So for what it's worth, we just figure we pointed out there that they are making an effort to get some information out there in front of people while the meetings are going on, long before North of Falcon is complete and the process is completely done for the year. So we can do with that what we can. Hey, we got a Sturgeon Opener coming up that's been agreed to. May 10th. I know it's a ways away, but in the Columbia River in the estuary. May 10th, anglers can have an opportunity to catch retained legal-sized white sturgeon in the lower 40 miles of the river.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Fishery managers, and I'm just going to read this because the points in here are valid. Washington, Oregon, Thursday, open the sturgeon fishery on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays through June 5th. 2021 from the Wanua power lines and cross Puget Island near Cathlamet downriver to Buoy 10. Again, a long, definite, wide range of area to go. All sturgeon fishing, including catch and release, closes at 2 p.m. each day. So you get on there at daylight and you fish till 2 p.m. Anglers may only retain white sturgeon measuring in that slot limit between 44 and 50 inches from the tip their nose to the fork in their tail. Make sure you are reminded of that, fork length. Catch limits during the season are 1 legal white sturgeon per day and 2 legal sturgeon per year. Then it goes on to talk about only a single point barbless hooks and whatnot. Now, the annual limit, their yearly limit, much like halibut, right? Folks may go, it's kind of stupid, you only get to keep 2. Fact is, we're fishing for sturgeon. Fact is, we get to keep some sturgeon.
Yeah.
And the fact is, 2 per year is actually not too bad versus no opportunity at all. And the fact that the populations are good enough, once again, that we have a retention season to look forward to for a pretty decent length of time and where it covers, we actually have sturgeon opportunity.
Yeah,
and again, that's
a positive.
That's another.
Plus, you never know when just the very last segment of your rod twitches ever so slightly.
Yep.
You don't know if you're going to end up with a 30-incher or an 8-footer.
That's right.
And
then the battle's on.
There's also the beauty in that.
So interesting read here earlier this week, Tommy. I picked up. I always kind of peruse through what Andy Wagamont has going on over there.
Yeah.
Buddies at Northwest Sportsman's Magazine. He had a nice article out there. Washington wildlife managers considering passel of hunting rule changes. In other words, looking at some rule changes relative to hunting and where some of this may go as they're pushing it onto the commission to make decisions. There's some discussion on some changes proposed, mostly by user groups, mostly by recreational hunters on the east side as it pertains to whitetail. One change they're considering that late season, instead of going from November 7th through 19, bump it down to 11 through 19 based on population and opportunity.
And the thing that blows my mind about this is just a couple years ago we had a doe season for whitetail.
Yep.
So how could we ever have the data say, hey, we've got so many whitetail that we can just have a doe season on whitetail does.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden reverse that, and now we're looking at, the survey that I filled out had, do you want a point restriction on your whitetail? And those are two ends of the extreme, right?
Yeah, complete polar opposites.
And you know, in this one, I'm always afraid to give away anything because you never know if, like this year, hey, we're just going to knock off, 3 days here, and then the next season it's another couple days, and then pretty soon it's like, hey, we can't hunt the whitetail in the rut. But you know, if they're going to pick a couple days to knock off of that late season for the whitetail hunt, it's definitely those early days instead of the 17th through the 19th.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a few other things in certain game units over there that they're suggesting. Those will probably go through because they're all conservation heavy. And some of the last reports that came out of that area within the last couple of years, we had a pretty good die-off due to blue tongue.
2015.
Backed up by a harsh winter kill in like 2016
and 17,
right? So they may have population concerns. I don't know. I haven't delved that deep into it, but it's interesting that it's coming from the user group. Some of the other ones that were in the articles what really caught my attention.
Yeah, it gets better.
So dogs tracking wounded game.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah. Aye.
I think utilization of your dogs, especially as we were talking before the show, if you bring in a lab pup or whatever dog you're going to use, and you're training that dog, like a lot of guys are training their bird dogs to sniff out and find sheds.
Yep.
It's a great hobby for your dogs. It gives them some off-season training. You're working your dog. You can certainly give your dog commands and work your dogs on shed hunting like you would on other things, right?
Yep.
There's application there. Now you utilize that same dog as you raise him or her, and you're training them on animal scent so that if you do knock down an animal and you lose track of it or just can't find it, now you have a dog you can rely on to sort that out. Higher probability of successfully recovering that animal than losing it somewhere and it goes wayward of the coyote.
And this is just for deer and elk.
Correct.
Not for cougars and bears, right?
And we talked about that. My assumption, I didn't read anything on it, but it's a fine line between using dogs to hunt bear and cougar versus recover bear and cougar.
Right. Yeah, your deer, if your dog chases a deer, your deer's not going to run up a tree, right? I mean, you could say, "Oh yeah, I shot that cougar and my dog was chasing it." Some people may try to
tell you their deer ran up a tree, right?
Right.
But to utilize a trained dog to help you sniff out a wounded animal and recover that animal versus losing it, the recovery rate will go up exponentially.
Yeah. Okay, what's the next one?
Well, I like the next one too.
I do too.
Yay or nay? So one by scopes on muzzleloaders.
Yep. All in favor?
All in favor? So when the true essence of the muzzleloader hunting opportunity is open sight with a muzzleloader, going after hooved animal, as it were, right? Mm-hmm. Some want to remain in that element. Some of them want to have that pierced approach to it, and that's great.
And if you want to go out and you want to use your 1864 Civil War musket rifle, hey, knock yourself out. You can still do it. But I'm going to be using my red dot.
So the option of a one by provides no power. Okay.
Right.
It's basically just a focal point, and to the utilization of a red dot, much like you would on turkey, and or I put on my shotgun for using buckshot or slug for deer or big game, it's an option.
Yeah.
It's no different putting that red dot on my shotgun.
Right.
Now you put on your muzzle loader, so that 100-yard shot, higher probability of successful shot placement versus open sights, right?
Yep.
And for guys who are getting a little older, eyesight's not as good. I mean, there's some factors that you think about it for a certain percentage. It'd be advantageous for them to go ahead and utilize that.
Yeah. Well, and you're always going to hear the guys that are the righteous. They only shoot 180 class deer and better, right?
Right.
And they're going to say, "Oh no, this is going to be you're going to shoot too many deer." But for the average Joe that gets out 5 days a year, if they've got a buck at 80 yards. They're going to take the shot.
Yep.
Okay. They're not going to pass that buck up.
No.
Most likely. And so, I think that having that red dot is going to allow that individual to have a higher probability to get a good kill shot on that animal instead of, hitting it far back, wounding it, losing it, maiming it, you name it, right? So I think it's a lot more ethical to have some sort of optic on your muzzleloader.
So I'm in favor of it. For those that want to remain purist and do the open sights, go for it. Just be sure you train your dog up so he or she can help you recover your animal.
Yeah.
There you go. No, just tying the two together. I think both of those are worth pursuing, and the commission should weigh in on those. I hope they find it favorable. I don't see any downside to that. If you guys see a downside on either one of those, just chime in here on the
please let us
Messenger
know.
and see what you got. Turkeys and rim fire rifles.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking sitting on a knoll. This is for fall season. This is October 15th through November during our fall hunts. Now you can use rimfire rifle. So sit there with a scoped 22, several yards back further than you would with your shotgun or your bow, and pluck them off as they come storming down the hill towards the grain barn on the dairy farm.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I think it's a high probability game if you can shoot a turkey with a 22.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they make some 22s that sit in a precision rifle chassis now.
Yeah.
That are pretty darn accurate. And so I mean,
it's opening up your options.
That's for sure.
If you have not hunted turkeys in the fall, it's pretty exciting as they all group up and they're all hanging out and they're buddies, and it's a totally different environment than in the spring when it's dominant toms trying to mate and do that whole thing. So
and their eyesight is perfect.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
And my father-in-law swears that they can smell as well.
I've had other people say that.
So you're hunting this basically a big game animal, but it's a bird.
That's why Phelps.
That's why people love it.
That's why Phelps gets all jacked up about turkey hunting, because he feels like it's the practice season for elk, right? Because you got to call them in the spring. Working on your call, working on your turkey call. You got to stalk them. You got to set up. You can't be detected, and you got to put them down. Delay the start of forest grouse season, September 15th to January 15th. Just bumping it a little later. You know, for buddies I know that have been pursuing grouse on a regular basis during fall hunting for sure, they've made it known that the last several seasons, man, it's been a little tough to find the grouse, and so maybe this is more of a conservation move to give guys opportunity. I don't know. I don't have a dog in that fight. If it's better for opportunity and guys might have a better outcome by moving that date, then increasing brood survival, population density, it's all that stuff. It's all in the article. So not a bad move. Elk.
Merry Christmas, guys.
I know, that's what happens when you say elk and hoof disease together. So elk hoof disease incentive. What do you think?
I think it's a good one. So this is basically this would be for master hunters only, and it would be to help curtail the hoof rot disease, right?
Yep.
And it would this is a west side specific, so this would be units, the 500 to 600 series units. And for those of you that are out there thinking, oh, you know what, I should become a master hunter so that I can go out and I can harvest more elk, or I can harvest elk easier. Let me tell you what, you got to be really good at taking tests, because I looked into it one time. I didn't end up going through the program, but you get a stack of data, and you got to know it all. And it doesn't matter if you're a big game hunter, you better know that upland bird book like the back of your hand, and you better know all of the laws that created our game rules today. And there's also a shooting session that you have to shoot a certain. I think that's the easiest part,
probably.
But yeah, being a master hunter is not for everybody. But for this one here, I think it sounds like a decent proposal.
Gives people options. So, all right, just a little behind, no big deal. Hey, we're going to jump out for a quick break. When we come back, first time to this show, known him for a long time, probably one of the best bass fishermen in Washington State. He's been around, been doing it for a long time. I remember talking to this gentleman when he was a young man delivering milk in Ording.
Really?
He was a milkman.
Yeah.
For those that don't know the history. Ron Hobbs Jr., when we come back after this quick break right here, Fish on Northwest. Marine is the one-stop shop for the Pacific Northwest angler. Whether you are looking for a small skiff to fish the Sound or rivers, or a huge offshore tuna machine, Defiance Marine has it. At Defiance Marine, be sure to power your boat with a Honda outboard package. Take advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty on your Honda outboards. Our service department is always here to help and serve you as the customer. Did you know Defiance Marine has boat financing experts to help get you the best term rates on your new boat purchase? If you need financing for that new boat, call us today. We guarantee the best price, best service on a repower for your current boat. Defiance Marine is a Honda Premier dealership and one of the largest on the West Coast. Defiance Marine also carries all the gear that you will need. Everything from auxiliary kicker motors to fishing tackle and bait. Defiance Marine has certified technicians that are top-notch at their job. Some of the best in the Pacific Northwest at evaluating your boat issues and problems. Stop in today or give us a call for all your needs at Defiance Marine.
Today, the need for quality private security services is at an all-time high. Contract Security Service provides day-to-day peace of mind as they protect people and property. Here at Phoenix, we provide service for multiple state and federal contracts with services ranging from uniform, patrol, alarm monitoring, canine detection, executive protection, as well as investigative work. Phoenix client management models are built on understanding our clients' security needs and responding with a tailored program that is best fit for them. Phoenix provides excellent customer service through well-trained, highly motivated security professionals. Recruiting highly qualified officers is the first step in building a strong team. Currently, we are comprised of 70% prior law enforcement and military veterans. If you are prior military or law enforcement, go to www.phoenixprotectivecorps.com and apply today.
Hey, welcome back, Fish on Northwest. New England Tommy Donlin, Ian's studio this evening. Thanks for joining us. You got comments, much like a couple on here tonight?
Yeah, you know what? We got a good one. Dave Anderson says, "Holy mackerel. It's local heartthrob Tommy Donlin." How about that?
Yeah.
And then do you see Justine Donlin? She's getting in there too.
I'm sure.
So I got Dave and Justine are now fighting over me.
How much are you paying these people to make nice
I don't know,
comments
man, but I love it. Keep them coming.
Yeah, nothing said about me, which is fine. Dakota, miss you guys. Hope all is well. Hope to get back on the program soon. Heck yeah, buddy. You bring that guitar and we'll put on a show here. You're always welcome. You know that. Not to mention, got the boat here anytime, so we're getting Dakota out fishing. We can take him helmet fishing.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Anyway. All right. Enough of that right now. The gentleman waiting patiently on the phone, of which Tommy did not believe me, his former employment as a milkman back in the day when I first met Ron Hobbs Jr. We've known each other a long time. I told him the other day when we caught up on the phone, he still holds the record in my drift boat for catching the greenest steelhead I've ever seen, which he just couldn't help himself. As a bass angler, he had to put a green steelhead in my boat. So Ron Hobbs Jr., local bass pro, two-time Forest Wood Cup World Championship qualifier, and Northwest Bass Angler of the Year multiple times here in Washington State. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Thanks for taking the time to jump on here tonight. I know you're busy with life now, all grown up,
but I have
kids.
To make a comment.
I know.
I have to make a comment about that. You know, I got 3 kids, and my boys would call that comment that was messaging to you guys as cringy.
Yes, boys, and you're coaching football, and life is busy, and you're still getting out fishing though, and doing some tournament stuff. So the reason I asked you to join us tonight is because when I start talking spring bass, and we are we're officially in spring now, and you know, it's always interesting talking to guys like you, because for a lot of people, they think, well, it's springtime, it's time to go bass fishing. You, on the other hand, go, it's never not time to go bass fishing. So you fish through the cold weather. We got pictures of you posting up tonight that shows that you're out there and it was not exactly warm. But hey, we're early spring, so let's talk a little bit about some early spring tactics, water temperature right now, and kind of what these bass are doing. If you want to break it down, largemouth versus some smallmouth and kind of how that works, let's just start there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I grew up in Graham, Washington. You know, it's just north of Eatonville. So, you know, grew up fishing the lakes around the Eatonville area and stuff. And what we always said in the spring, we knew it was bass season when the tree frogs started croaking.
Right.
And I heard those tree frogs croaking here a couple weeks ago. So, you know, that's time to get to the lake and try to catch some largemouth. You know, through my experiences and stuff, you know, I like catching, you know, we got 2 main species here in Washington, smallmouth and largemouth, and they're similar but different at the same time. You're going to find mostly your smallmouth in a little bit clearer lakes. They're going to be a little bit deeper water of a fish where the largemouth will be up a little bit shallower on the lakes. And this time of year, you know, as you said, I fish all winter time, all through the winter, and I do catch some largemouth in the winter, but especially on these smaller lakes that a lot of people live around, these largemouth, you know, kind of get out in the muck, and they're really hard to catch unless you get really, you know, good weather windows. You might be able to catch a couple, but that fishing kind of dies off, and so everyone usually stays in their house and doesn't fish, or they resort to going to the bigger lakes like Lake Washington, Lake Sammamish, American Lake, some of these bigger lakes with some larger smallmouth populations, because the smallmouth actually do better in a little bit colder environment than the largemouth do. But here's where everybody changes. You know, you start hearing those tree frogs croak, and you know that those largemouth, they want to get up to the bank, and it usually tells me to switch gears. Okay, I'm getting off the big lake. I'm going to start really targeting these largemouth. Is when we first started getting some of these good weather patterns where we can have a week of 50 degrees, you know, during the week, and then I know it's time to go fishing, anywhere from the end of February all the way through March. And honestly, this is the time of year that you want to be targeting these fish, because let's face it, if anyone's ever had Bassmasters magazine or anything like that, there's a 10-pounder club, right?
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to catch it. You know, that's kind of like the, you know, the crown, you know, it's like the king's a 30-pound king up in BC or something like that. So, you know, you're comparing it to your trophy fish, you know,
Sure.
And a 10-pounder, and here in the Pacific Northwest, the 10-pounders are really hard to come by. So, but yet I've seen one come in already. Friends with a guy I met at the old Nixon's Marine Tackle Shop, and he's already got a 10 on the board this year. Wow. And you only see about a handful of these come through in a year, and it's always this time of the year that you see those fish come in. So for me, this time of the year is really targeting, trying to catch those bigger fish.
So is there a tactic that you focus on in order to get those larger fish?
Yeah, so this time of the year, so, you know, when you start getting warming trends, right? So you go out to your little local lake, you have a warming trend. Can you tell me which way the wind blows when you have a warming trend? Which way does it blow? It comes out of the south, blows to the north, right? Anytime there's warm weather, and what that happens is any of these small lakes is that it blows that surface water. That's going to be the warmest water in the lake is on the surface, right? The deep water is not warm, it's cold. So that surface water gets blown from one end of the lake all the way up to the north end of the lake, and what happens is you have this band of warm water up on the north end of your lake. Now you mix that with cover, and all of a sudden that's the warmest water in the lake, and that's where those fish want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So first you're going to say, okay, where should I be fishing? Should I be fishing in the shade like you do in the summer? No, you should get to those areas that warm water is getting pushed. So now that we have that kind of broken down, where you're going to be in the fishing in the north, now you go off of kind of more like your weather patterns, because the one great thing about bass fishing, you can't deny, there's 10,000 different lures and 10,000 different combinations that you can use for these things, right? So one of the, what you could call, quote unquote, a lure of bass fishing is that you have so many lures to choose from. But really, typically this time of the year, you're going to stick with a few different things. You're going to stick with your jigs, you know, like anything that you would see, like old Denny Brower throwing with a brush guard so you can throw it into heavy cover.
Right.
You're going to throw a chatterbait, which is a vibrating jig. And then one last thing, you can go with the old school spinnerbait. Those three baits right there are going to put the biggest fish in your boat.
Making noise and making a commotion that they key in on and want to make sure they check out.
Exactly. And a lot of people that are used to fishing those warmer months, you know, they always say, you know, I catch my biggest fish on, you know, I always catch a lot of fish on Senkos. But this time of the year, it seems like those fish want to be next to something hard. So say a log sticking out of the water, and you got a log or a piling or any kind of wood sticking out of the water. Well, that absorbs heat and it radiates down into the water. So what will happen is those fish get so tight to the cover that it makes them really easy to target. With a Senko or something like that, it flutters and kind of moves off that target. Well, that thing's so close to the target that you want that jig to fall straight down that cover and get in there. There's a couple colors of jigs that you know that around here that work for me. The one golden standard is black and blue. It just about works everywhere. Black and blue jig, pretty simple. And that works anywhere you have tannic stain. Now, if you're going to a clear lake, you know, like something that you have 5, 6, 7 foot of visibility, that's when you would kind of switch back over to like an earth tone. So like maybe a brown based jig, green pumpkin, that sort of thing. Okay. And that's kind of how you pick your jigs. I read a thing a long time ago. Do you guys remember when that world record brown trout was caught out of the White River below the dam? This was probably 1990s, 1980s. There's one thing that always stuck in my head. They caught it on a marabou jig down there, correct?
Yeah.
And they're talking to this guy down there, and it's like, well, how do you pick your colors of jigs? And he goes, I match them to whatever the bottom looks like. So if I'm fishing a brown bottom, I'm throwing a brown jig. If I'm fishing an olive bottom, I'm throwing an olive jig. And if I'm fishing a black bottom, I'm fishing a black jig. Same kind of advice, and that stuck with me ever since I was a kid. And it holds true, because if you really think about it, a crawdad or anything else that fish is eating matches its surroundings.
It does. Yeah, it's a good point. So knowing what we know on weather systems and how it pushes surface water can warm up the north end of a bay, especially if you got a little inlet cove or something that it all kind of stacks in and holds.
Yes.
That is one thing that, you know, good fishermen who do their homework and research and understand and fish same lakes year in and year out, you can count on that stuff. How much are you also relying on electronics to locate fish this time of year?
This time of year with the largemouth, largemouth are one thing. So largemouth, you know, it's mostly visual cover. You're going to see them in visual cover. The only thing that it would change is if your lake doesn't have a bunch of wood or standing timber or any kind of real cover. You're looking at vegetation with your electronics. The one big thing, especially in Western Washington, is if we switch over to smallmouth. So let's start talking about smallmouth fishing. Kind of the same sciences apply. Smallmouth are a roaming fish. They go to the warmest water just like largemouth do. So still, the north end gravel flats of a lake are going to attract more smallmouth than, say, a south end mud flat. So you're still going to want to fish those warmer areas of the lake. Water temperature is important, and a lot of those fish will stack into those warmer sections. And with those smallmouth, they don't move straight up to the bank. You know, they're not going to go sit in 2-3 feet of water like these big largemouth do. They're still going to stay back. They're still going to stay in that 6 to 15 foot zone. And what you're using with those electronics is, are you finding these little break lines? You're finding these weed lines out into that sweet zone in between, I would say, anywhere from 5 to 12 feet. You're trying to find those little break lines, those little bit things that are a little bit different out there. And that's where those smallmouth are going to stack up. And you can't do that unless you have good electronics. Right.
What, let's transition on that smallmouth before we got to get out of here. So where we're fishing right now, and let's look down the road 3 to 4 weeks. We're definitely going to have a little bit warmer weather. We're going to be into, the last week of April, so to speak. Where do we start looking for smallmouth at that point? Are they transitioning back to a little deeper water at that point, or are they still kind of up in the shallow, warmer stuff?
Yeah, so most of these fish are going to spawn, you know. So what's happening is we're like early pre-spawn coming out of the winter. Most of the smallmouth and everything are going to spawn at end of April, beginning of May. So that's usually your general big spawn in Washington State. So a lot of times those fish aren't going to move back out until they're done spawning. Once they get up there to stay, they stay in that mid-range zone. And here, like an American, Washington, Taps, all that stuff, these fish on good weather days, and smallmouth are a little bit different than largemouth. Smallmouth like nice days, largemouth like kind of cruddy days. You know, when it's raining and windy, the largemouth bite better, but when it's nice and sunny, the smallmouth bite better. Don't ask me why that is. I think it's mainly because the smallmouth is a sight feeder where the largemouth is the ambush predator. So it kind of bases it off how they feed. But what happens is the fish right now, a lot of these fish, you know, they're wintering out in 50, 60 feet of water, and right next to a break line in the deep basin of your lake. So it doesn't matter which lake it is. Deep basin, Lake Washington, Lake Sammamish, deep basin's 50 feet, 50, 60 feet, 70 feet, something like that. But maybe on a different lake, the basin of the lake's only 20 feet. I'm talking about the deepest point of the lake. So they want to be close to that deepest point of the lake, but they don't want to be at the deepest point of the lake. They're on the next structure up the break line from that. So that could be a hard edge of some sort. So they're coming from there, and they're going to migrate their way towards the bank. So one week they might be, let's just take Lake Washington, for example. 3 weeks ago, they were in 50. And then the next week, they're in 40. The next week, they just work their way up the break all the way up to that, what I was just talking about, that 12 to 15 foot zone. And they hang out there until they go up and spawn. So, but what's cool about that is once you start getting up in that 12, 20 feet of water, more tactics become involved where, you know, the fish are getting a little bit more active and you can actually catch them on jerk baits and different things like that, jerk baits and crank baits and rattle traps and all that, instead of having to fish that, you know, 30-foot zone where you can't get a jerk bait to them. You can't get anything but basically a jig head and a grub or a swim bait or something like that. So really opens it up to fishing like how bass fishing should be, where you're casting and retrieving these baits.
Yeah. I have one last silly question.
Sure.
And it has to do with live bait. And I'm not talking night crawlers. I'm talking minnows, chubs, whatever you want to call it. Number one, is it legal? Because I'm not familiar with all the bass regulations around the state. And two, have you done it? And I know there's probably an argument, it's more fun to trick the fish with artificials. But I'm just curious about it. Is there an opportunity for live baiting bass, and have you ever done it?
In California, it's not illegal to fish with live bait, and I have done it down there, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
I've done it before.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. I have.
Farm ponds in Nebraska, South Dakota.
Oh yeah, Nebraska.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You hook that little duckling on and let them go.
Not quite. Not quite.
I think there is rules and regulations for and against it in Washington State. They switched that a few years ago. Like, I think you can use it now, but it can't be a game fish. You know, they have these regulations, but it has to be caught out of the water that you're using it in.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So you can use crawdads and stuff like that, but you have to catch them out of the lake that you're using it in.
Yeah.
That way we're not introducing these non-native species to bodies of waters that they don't belong in.
All I got to do is throw the crawdad pot off my dock, grab some crawdads, and go smallmouth fishing.
Get the minnow trap. Right on.
Hey, Ron, good to finally get you on the show, buddy. It's been a while since we chatted. It's nice to catch up, and don't be a stranger. Let's go catch some bass out of Summit Lake here in my backyard.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks so much.
You bet, buddy. Take care. Talk to you soon.
You bet.
Ron Hobbs Jr., man, a wealth of knowledge. The guy, the whole thing about bass is it's like any other fishery. They can be difficult to figure out because they're such a transitional fish, out of the deep into the shallow for spawning, back to the deep. Temperature regulates pretty much all
a lot
of
of their activity.
Watercolor, ground color, as he was stating, and what the surroundings are. And it can be a tough one to crack for sure. There's guys that do really
a lot of information there.
Tons of information.
That could have gone on for hours.
Yep. So, hey, guess what? We're running a little late as it is. I'll have to hit up Chris and tell him we're running a little late so he can slow down and enjoy his dinner. We're going to jump out for a quick break. When you come back, we're going to get part one, Tommy. Part one of our video that we've put together just from the other day. Josh and I were out, as mentioned at the beginning of the show, fishing with our buddy Matt Messing around fishing charters. We did a flame run out to Sekiu, hoping for 2 days of fishing, which got drilled into one. One afternoon of about 4 to 5 hours maybe. We got time on the water, chasing some blackmouth, had some success, had a heck of a lot of fun, took on some weather. It's always good when you're out there on the doorstep to the ocean. So part one of Sekiu Blackmouth with Matt Messing and your boy truly, Josh Mannon, as it were, when we come back right here, Fish on Northwest.
An Outdoor Emporium is the largest local outfitter in the Northwest since 1975, providing thousands of people affordable outdoor gear. This summer, make your next outdoor adventure more affordable by shopping at our warehouse-style pricing. We are a local Scotty dealer, offering sales, service, and repair. Located in Fife and Seattle, come visit us today. The outdoors await you.
It's easier than ever to browse homes and connect with an agent on the go with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate's mobile app. With the app, your home search is synced across all of your devices, so you can pick up your home search anytime, anywhere. Take full advantage of an enriched, mobile-optimized map search experience. Use location services to quickly find homes near you that match your search criteria. Draw your own map boundaries to find homes in a specific area, and apply layers to view school districts, neighborhoods, zip codes, and more. The app's user-friendly design makes it easier than ever to find a home you'll love. Narrow down your search results, save your search criteria, and save your favorite homes. You can browse your saved homes in a list view that puts photos and key details like price and square footage right at your fingertips. Or check out your saved homes displayed on the map.
Yep, for sure. Oh yeah, big fish. Yeah, buddy. Nice fish. Oh, beauty. Gorgeous fish.
Bobby's on the board.
We got a good one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, oh, oh.
No, geez, come on.
Nice fish. Nice fish.
All right, we are here. Josh, dude, we're here. Let's do it. Sekiu. Okay, it's about 11:30-ish. Got off work this morning, picked up Josh, headed out here to meet up with our buddy Matt Messing. Blackmouth, lingcod, some sea bass or rockfish are also on the agenda. Weather's pretty nice. We got some weather blowing in tonight though, so the plan was to come out here to this late afternoon fishery, fish this outgoing tide to about 4:30-ish or so, and then we'll have low slack, start fishing that incoming, and we'll see how we do for our blackmouth. Then if we got time, we're gonna go chase out some maybe some lingcod, maybe some sea bass. But yeah, we're here. It's been fishing great. You can keep 2 fish out here, 2 hatchery fish, and there seems to be a good number of fish around. Not that much pressure here. There's hardly anybody here midweek, so this is great. So we're gonna go down here and meet up with Matt. So here we go. It's not gonna break. It's not gonna break. I'm gonna break right here. You see that?
Biden.
That was my Biden invitation right there. Matt, say hi to everybody.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Everybody knows Matt.
Welcome to Sekiu.
That's right, Matt messing around fishing charters. So we're gonna get out there on this outgo. I think we got low slack at 4:30-ish.
Yep.
Then we'll start fishing that incoming if we still need to, right? So
yeah, we'll see what the current's doing out there. We might just, no matter what, fishing one way.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, we're gonna get mounted up here and get going on the water. Let's do it. No, it's still there. What do you think, Matt?
Well, time to find the bait. Find the bait, find the fish.
There you go. Got anything going on here?
Nothing yet. We're just gonna give it a little bit here, kind of do a slow pass, see what we can see, kind of work from this deep and kind of probably do a little zigzag here and see if we can locate where this bait is and then get our lines in. Probably have to spin around and head west, go with the tide here and figure out the current flow. Our lines might be scoped out pretty far, but that'll be all right.
I guess we'll find out.
We will.
Alrighty. Alright guys, there's certain things like boat etiquette and I don't know, knowing how to run your gear, do it the right way, especially when you're on other people's boats and when you're using other people's rods. And I always bring my own fishing rods because if I break a rod, it's going to be on me. That being said, even if I'm out here fishing, Matt, we're using your rods, your gear. And I get it as a guide. You probably often have to train your clients, or you run the gear all day, just let them fight the fish.
Yeah, I typically run the gear and I just hand rods off as we catch fish. It's just a little easier.
Well, there's a learning curve involved, right?
Absolutely.
And the whole thing, you know, you look at this downrigger, Josh, and there's moving parts and there's things to clip in, and there's coordination, you know, letting down the spool, letting down the reel at the same time, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. So you'll often be able to gauge a person's ability in a boat and how much they've been on a boat by how they handle this whole complicated matrix right here. And it's really not that complicated. So what we don't want to do, okay, this is a real quick what we don't want to do. I've already let my line out. The flasher is back behind the boat about 20 feet. We're going to hook it into the downrigger clip that I stow right here in the rod holder so it's easy to access, okay? The line's out, so now I'm going to set my rod down here, Matt, and then I'm going to bend the tip of my rod, and I'm going to grab my line, and I'm going to set it in here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up the rod and let the line and the downrigger all in. No, absolutely not. This here, when you see somebody do this, tell them to stop, grab the rod. It's time to teach them the right way to do it. So the rods never leave you. The rods never leave your hand. That's a good one. I got it out right here. I'm right-handed. I can operate the downrigger with my left hand. This is so simple. I'm going to point the rod towards the bow. It's going to swing that main line right into me. I've just captured it with my left hand. I'm going to hold that just like this. I'm going to clip that into the downrigger clip, make sure it seats in there good and tight. I'm going to drop it. The rod never left my hand. I'm going to flip, and now I'm going to simply release the brake and the tension. I'm going to allow the downrigger to go down, and I'm free spooling on my reel, and everything goes down in unison. Now we're in 200 feet of water. I'm going to probably spool off about 250, 260 feet of downrigger line. Make sure we hit bottom. These blackmouth like to be right down there looking for bait. We're not marking a lot of bait, but we just caught that one a little bit ago, and there was no bait around. So the key is to get it on the bottom, and that's going to set our depth. So we're at 200 feet. We're at 220 on the finder. Just hit at 245. I'm going to come up about 5 or 6 feet. Now I'm going to reel the tension on the rod. Okay. Pick up a little slack, drag it forward. Look good. Yep.
It's fine bottom.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's a good fish.
Make sure we hit that camera. There we go. That's a good one.
Oh,
you know, it's crazy. We're not marking any bait.
Nothing.
We're sitting here talking about, oh, you know what? Not seeing any bait. Hey, Matt, last time you're out here, morning, afternoon, outgoing. We're fishing that outgoing tide. And still real big. Yeah, so we got this outgoing tide for another 2-3 hours. Not marking any bait. Lo and behold, the rod goes off. Boom.
Goes fish.
Joe's fish. I don't know what, 20 minutes out here, man?
Yeah, about 20. First bite. Here's the line.
Yeah. It might be 5 pounds. If we're lucky. Okay. I just dropped that down, smack bottom, came up 5 feet. And there it was.
So it's important to pay attention to your gear. Somebody really wants to get home.
Apparently. Most guys want to know what we're doing. Oh, just salmon away.
What are you doing?
I'm out of the motor.
Come on. Left. Oh. Gee.
I was actually working towards the camera angle for Josh, but it wasn't working.
All right, before we pull this guy in, let's make sure he doesn't have a fin. That's a hatch. Hey, look at that.
Buddy.
Woo, smells like a blackmouth.
Yeah, looks like a blackmouth.
Oh, I bet it's gonna taste like a blackmouth.
Gonna taste like a blackmouth. Here we go. Oh, you smell that?
Here we go, guys. Our favorite sound in the world.
Boom, baby.
Home run.
Home run.
Broke a big tank.
Home run. All right. Look at that blue purple back. Okay, so yeah, not a 20 pounder, right? Pretty average on the little smaller side, but a decent blackmouth, man. Good fish?
Yeah, feels like a good one.
Must be that side of the boat because we switched rods. We did everything. We put your rod over here, been running this rod on that side, and we switched it out this last pass. And there you go. Different spoon, different flasher.
It ain't breaking.
Didn't pop it. Looks like a better fish.
Get a good tug to it. Yeah.
Double up. We're not marking any bait. We were just talking about ghost fish, and all of a sudden Matt hooks up. So
I think maybe that's all you gotta do. Just complain a little, and there it is.
Kind of give him a little.
What the heck? Where are you? Yeah. Not feeling as big anymore.
Yeah. Well, I kind of do that.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah, there you go. Goes out there with the guy. I think it's a little bigger than mine. Heck yeah. Oh, I think it's a little smaller than mine. Yeah.
That's a herring
That's
aid
a
on
herring
herring
aid
aid.
spoon, herring aid on herring aid. Okay.
Yeah, that's coming right out.
Yeah, see how it spins?
This is the free sticks they give you, the fish checker people, where they got them.
Oh, for measuring?
The WDFW, they hand out these sticks, right? Your D-hookers for measuring.
Oh.
This thing is not right.
It's not right.
It's too long.
The stick's too long?
Stick's a little long, so you'll be throwing back short your 21-inch fish.
Oh, okay.
If you measure it, it's the wood dowel part is, I believe, a 1/4 inch short, and then with the brass, it's that much
1/4
long.
inch
Yeah,
long.
too long. Yeah.
Well, they issue it.
It's a tricky thing there.
Well, they issue it. WDFW issues it, so you use it, and then the gamey goes, hey, your fish is long. It's like, you gave me the stick.
You gave me this thing to measure with. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. That's a good fish. I actually believe. Let him run, buddy. Be a pretty decent fish. I'm thinking. How's it feel? No? I had some good head shakes, and he killed a little line, so. Just be like 4 or 5 pounds, we'll call it good. I don't mind that. That was 216 on the wire, Matt. We had just hit into about 229 or so. So it wasn't quite on the bottom. There you go.
The target's pulling.
Yeah. Oh, they popped. Oh yeah.
Oh, he's there.
Oh yeah, I released the flasher.
Oh, it did. Check that fin here.
Yep, let's keep
No
her.
fin. Let's get her in the boat. Oh, okay.
I got it. There we go.
There we go.
It did pop
Oh,
the
yeah.
flasher, which made that bite even that much better. There you go, Josh. Another blackmouth. Small feed.
Okay, he's putting quite a bend in that pool.
That wind's picking up.
Yeah, that weather's starting to build on him.
That wind's pushing in like this. We're going to be forced to turn around.
Yeah. Yeah, that just picked up
Are you coming? Weather is turning big time.
Oh, what fish? Oh, there's a fish.
There's a fish. We'll shake her.
Oh, look at it.
I'm ready to pop it.
Right? Yeah, that little guy popped.
And when they're working, they're working. Yeah, well, there you go, Tommy. Part 1 of what we
Beautiful.
got going. Huh?
Looks like the water's flat.
Right now. We got part 2 to get through later in the show. It was a great day. We got into a number of fish. We got some keepers in the box. Fishing with Matt's always a good time. And, it's blackmouth fishing. And, look how crowded it was.
Oh, I know. It was horrible, wasn't it?
It blows me away that we have, again, it's midweek, but we got a 2-fish retention.
Yeah, but it's the only opportunity in town.
It's and we got all through April to continue to do that. That's one reason I wanted to get this out there and kind of just show people.
That's awesome. What a great fishery.
Yeah, it is. And there are some good sized fish out there. The ones we put in the box here so far, about 4 or 5 pounds. But hey, there's more to come. We got part 2 towards the end of the show. We're going to jump out for a quick break. When we come back, switching gears a little bit, still staying on the Chinook salmon realm. Going to jump on with, get Chris Vertopoulos on, Chris V's guide service. The Springer bite today, according to Mr. Mike Surdick,
was epic.
Was absolutely.
And those were dandies. Did you see that picture?
Really nice.
Oh, good
we'll try
Lord.
to post them up later, maybe during the show here. But Springer bite is happening down on the Columbia. We're going to get an update from Chris V when we come back right here at Fish Hunt Northwest. A Northwest favorite for almost 40 years, Arima Boats are manufactured with pride right here in Bremerton, Washington. Arima Boats offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. With literally thousands of Arima boats on the water throughout the Pacific Northwest, Arima boats are a proven hull design that offers incredible fuel economy and all of the amenities that a serious angler is looking for. All Arima boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Arima boats are designed to maximize deck space while also providing ample seating. Contact us today at Arima Boats for all your boating needs and let us help you get out on the water. Hey, welcome back, Fish Hunt Northwest. Wayne England, Tommy Donlan here in studio. Lots of folks starting to chime in here, Tommy, as the chat board's getting a little busy. The numbers are going up. And we got some good topics to continue for the rest of the show. For those that just joined us, you'll have to go back and rewatch the part 1 of our Sekiu Blackmouth opportunity. So far, so good out there, huh?
Yeah, looking good.
Not too bad.
And those fish are phenomenal table fare. I can attest to that.
Well, we had that tonight for dinner.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you got fresh blackmouth. It doesn't go in the freezer. You keep it in the fridge. And Shing did an amazing job.
Yeah, she
4 different recipes on those 4 fillets. It's like, take your pick of which flavor you want. That woman, I tell you. Anyway, enough of that. Chris Vertopoulos, not a stranger to the show, not a stranger to the program. Chris V's guide service. Springer fishing for us, Tommy, commences next Friday, a week from tomorrow, April 2nd, as we wind down towards the end of season. We're going to jump in with Chris and get out there, and we're going to put some springers in the box. I cannot wait. And we're going to bring that footage back to everybody the following week for sure. Before we get there, though, he's going to be beating on the water for a whole week. You just finished your steelhead season today. Is that right, Chris?
That's right. Today was my last day.
All right. And donated 1 final fish to the broodstock program. Congratulations on that. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And And we got to kill one too. We had a real nice quality brood stockfish we killed, and had a hold of another one also. So for this season, not a bad steelhead day.
It's a good way to close out the year. Absolutely. So let's switch gears as you are. And it's not that you haven't been out chasing springers as of yet. You were doing some early runs and kind of, working to get it dialed in. So the numbers seem to go up pretty good today. We got some reports as we kicked off the show here. Let's face it, Springer season has finally arrived. You got to be excited about that.
I am. Oh boy, I'm excited to change pace.
Yep. So what do you think this week's going to look like for you? You're going to be Lower Columbia area? You're going to be rolling some bait? You coming right out of the gate with hardware? What's kind of the program you're going to be setting up the next couple days?
It's going to be a bait show for me. I'm going to troll herring and in between on each side of the island, depending on what the tide's doing. Flashers and herring, not Pro Troll flashers, but either triangles or the Pro Flash 6 by Pro Troll, which is a kind of an inline spinning flasher with a chip and a light in it. Those work really good. And my 44-inch leader and 3 hooks and either a little orange label herring or a green label. I've got some green label also. So just fishing them along bottom with 6 and 8 ounces of lead.
Nice. So you're a 3-hook dragger, and let's talk about the size difference on your herring. Are you plug cutting the greens and running the smaller firecracker or the orange or reds whole, or what's your basic setup and go-to, or do you run a helmet?
Well, I'll be running the greens plug cut. That's a definite. But I've got a real nice looking case of these Puget Sound oranges, which I have never fished oranges before. Mm-hmm. So I tied up some 2-hook rigs for those with 2-aught hooks. And so I'm going to fish them much like I would an anchovy, probably with a toothpick. I've got some helmets if necessary. I'm going to have to play with those to see how I can get them to spin. Like I said, I've never fished oranges before.
Yeah. So when you're cut plugging these baits, a lot of times, that cut plug is right on the bottom. Sometimes it might be digging a little sand. How do you keep that leading edge of that cut plug tough? What kind of cure do you use?
Well, I've always been a guy that likes to fish them fresh out of the package. So I keep them nice and cool. Just thaw them out a little bit in the morning before we hit the water. So when I cut them, they're still nice and crisp. I wouldn't say frozen, but nice and crisp. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then if I have leftover bait that afternoon, those go into a brine, and those will be the first ones I fish in the morning. I really like that Mike's brine, and I also like the Procure brine in the Natural Shine, which is great. Mm-hmm. It's real simple and easy. Pour a bottle of that in a Ziploc bag and put your baits in there and let it sit in the fridge overnight, and it's ready to go the next day.
Do you ever add any color, rely on additional UV on your baits, Chris? Say if you get more turbidity in that Columbia, or you go fish that dirty, filthy Willamette, do you add any color or UV's enhancement to your bait, or is it just always natural shine?
I do at times add some color just to play around with some different stuff. I've done either chartreuse or blue. That Procure Badass dye in the powder form works really good for me, and like I said, in either chartreuse or blue. Right. And I don't go too heavy on it, so it's not like I'm dumping a bunch in there to get that thing so blue that you can't see the shine through it, or let alone so chartreuse that it just looks kind of strange. You don't have to overdo it with that stuff. It's very strong dye. Yeah. Yeah. And we throw some other stuff in there. I do like anise. I've always been an anise guy. I've got a couple of bottles of that old, what was that brown stinky stuff?
Bourbon.
No, it came from England, and you could buy it. They haven't made it in quite a few years.
Really?
It sounds like Vegemite, but that came from Australia.
Yeah, that's close.
I put 3 drops of this stuff in there too that I've been doing for years, and I'm almost out of it. I've got about a ball and a half left. Right. But little anise, just keep it simple. I mean, good old rock salt works fine too, with a little bit of bluing in it if that's what you do also. Mm-hmm. But I do like just natural shine. It works most of the time.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. So, so what kind of spread do you run? You know, you run 5 rods, I take it, and then are you trying to, you know, vary the leads and then also vary the flashers, maybe vary the baits? What's your going in position if there's not one bait or another that they're keying in on?
Well, I'm fishing 5 rods, yes, and my bow rods are 10.5-foot rods, and I fish 10 ounces on those. I'm running about a 14 to 16 inch dropper, not too long of a dropper. So I'm keeping those leads down close to the bottom. The rods behind that closer to me, the back rods, they're going to be 8 ounces. And my rod, I put a 6 ouncer way out the back. And we're all fishing them close to on the Columbia. You stay near the bottom. That's super important. Now we go in the Willamette, we fish suspended oftentimes in that deeper water. But on the Columbia, stick to your 12 to 25 feet of water and keep it on the bottom. As you're trolling downhill, keep an eye on your fish finder. Look for those dips and divots, and if you go through a divot, give it an extra pull or two and get it down there deeper in that divot. You know, that's where those fish will hold.
Right. Let's
try to keep your speed down too. You know, you don't want to be trolling too fast. Let's try to keep it under 3 miles an hour.
Downriver troll?
Yeah, downriver troll. There's certain places where you control both directions, like at Clifton Channel and so on. But most of the time, downriver troll, so you can cover water much better.
Yeah.
So when you say less than 3 miles an hour, is that, you know, you've already accounted for how fast the current's running, or is that speed over water or speed over ground? That's
speed over ground. Okay. And so it's just the GPS.
Got it.
Speedometer I have on my depth finder. I'm not using a pico tube or a wheel. It's just the GPS. Keep it under 2 to 3 miles an hour. You're doing okay.
Do you have specific colors you rely on and pretty much stick with those in regards to your triangle flashers, whether it's Big Al's, Yakima, or short bus or whatever you're using? Are there a couple colors you key in on, and does that change once again if you get more turbidity in the Columbia, or you're fishing the Willamette versus the clean Columbia?
You know, I've done well with so many different colors. A little in the Willamette in particular, I do very well with blues, with blue bladed flashers with various colors of prism tape on it. I even have a black one that I've done well with. It's got some kind of green and copper looking stuff on it. But last season I started using these by ProTroll. They're called a Pro Flash 6. And they're an inline flasher, you know, that spins like a triangle flasher, but they do have a little wobble to them. But they got a little blinking light, blinks white, red, green, white, red, green, and it's got a the ProTroll chip in it also. And those things work. They work good. So shout out to ProTroll for that.
Yeah, interesting. All right. Well, hey.
And I've got a chrome one is the best one I got.
Chrome. Okay. With the short season we got only up until April 4th, do you see yourself getting away from the inline triangle flasher and bait program, switching to some type of 360 and spinners or super bait or spin fish, and or do you think the water temperature will probably maintain kind of where it's at, so it'll be a bait fishery all the way through?
Well, as soon as the Columbia closes, I go into the Willamette, and the Willamette is going to be 2, 3, 4 degrees warmer than the Columbia. And then once the Willamette gets to that 52, 54 degree range, then I'm going to start switching over to the ProTrolls. Yeah. And I'm going to be mixing it up with some spin fishes, and I'm going to be mixing it up with some super baits, even as the water warms, even some spinners. But I'll have some baits out there behind those ProTrolls also. Yeah. So some of those little small orange labels, fish hole might do well.
Right. Good stuff, man. Tommy and I in the beard, Jordan, looking forward to coming down April 2nd, jumping in the boat with you. You have any seats available between now and the final day of April 4th?
Yeah, I've got the 31st open. Okay. And for fishing down on that lower Columbia. And for some reason, that's one date that I just haven't been able to book.
The 31st.
And so if anybody wants, I got the 31st open if anybody wants to go. I think that's a Wednesday.
All right.
And that's prime time, too.
Yeah, Yeah, right. Yeah. You have the last 5 days of season. What's best way for them to get a hold of you? You guys need to take advantage of this. Jump in the boat with Chris. Get down there, get yourself a springer before the season ends. So best way for them to contact you, Chris?
Best way is you can find me online. I'm the only Chris V out there.
Yes.
But, or my phone number, 503-349-1377.
Fantastic, buddy. Well, appreciate you taking time this evening. Always great information from you, as we can expect. And looking forward to you putting up with us for a day on the boat.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So,
me too. Looking forward to it, guys.
All right, buddy. We'll see you in a week or so. Take care.
We'll be in touch.
You got
Thanks.
it. Bye.
Bye.
All righty. There you go. And the Springer Report, got us going right at the start of the show. Surdick, of course.
Yeah.
Kicking us in the teeth.
I'm salivating. I am salivating. I'm looking at his picture right now.
I want a piece of that.
I absolutely love where he mounts his Raymarine Axiom Pro right at the transom there.
Yeah.
So that when you're running, when either guy is running the downrigger, you can just look over and you can both see exactly what's going on. And if you're running the stinger rod, you can look over and there it is right there.
It's right there in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of knows what he's doing in that regard too. Much more with the Raymarine electronics to come with Surdick as we move through these next couple months. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the boots that he's wearing in the one picture. They look like moon boots, but
Tommy Donlan, Fashionita. All right, we'll let it go. We're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back. We have a couple things to get to. One of that being bottom fish, sea bass.
Oh yeah.
Shallowlings, rockfish.
I think this is our first dual bait lab session. I don't think we've done one together yet. This is going to be a special moment.
Special moment for Tommy indeed when we come back right here, Fish on Northwest. Allied boats are built by West Coast fishermen for West Coast fishermen. Deep V 21-degree dead rise at the transom guarantees a smooth ride no matter the conditions. Allied offers all of our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Allied boats range from 19 to 32 foot in length, so no matter what type of heavy gauge boat you are looking for, we have it for you. All of our Corsair 21 foot and larger designs come standard with reverse chine that is welded inside and out with no extrusions below the waterline, so that you will never have to worry about corrosion problems down the road. Get out on the water today in a boat that you can trust and enjoy with Allied Boats. Contact us at Allied Boats today to learn much more about our incredible fishing machines.
New days, new beginnings, new friends, new loves, new dreams, new goals, new scenery, new job. No matter what the next chapter holds, Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate will be there to help you find the new that's right for your lifestyle at any stage of your life. Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate. Expect better.
Hey, welcome back to Fish on Northwest. Wayne England and Thomas Donlan in the bait lab together. Reunited once again.
I love it. This is awesome.
Funny. We got enough room in here for all this.
I know.
Man. Okay.
I got a 53-inch chest, so it's a little crowded up in here.
For God's sakes. Okay. Hey, something that we really look forward to, Tommy, is hitting the saltwater. And not just for salmon and things that we're doing as of late, but man, we got some great opportunity coming up. Puget Sound Bottom Fish opens May 1st. And last year we put that video together with live bait for lingcod and had an absolute blast with our buddy Matt. And we've been talking about all the stuff we get to look forward to this year because Tommy's boat is back in commission.
That's right.
We got some serious ocean fisheries to go after.
Well, and you know what the thing is with this, we're going to cover inshore bottom fishing tonight.
Yeah.
And this is a game for anybody to play.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and say it right now that anybody that watches this can go out and catch a lingcod and sea bass.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And we will personally help you if you cannot. But I'm telling you, this is like one of the easiest fisheries we have.
It's amazing how easy it is. And before we get strolling down that easy road, I want to remind everybody that Bay Lab segments are presented each and every week by Max Lure. Check out everything Max Lure has going at maxlure.com. Also, they are down at the Sportsman Show this week in Portland.
In Portland, yeah.
So stop at their booth and say hi, tell them we sent you. Anyway, we're going to start with some basics, Tommy. One of the funnest things to do when you get out there, like where we were just fishing Blackmouth the other day, if we would have ran just out a little further and hit those kelp beds on the way out past the caves going west, you can pull up there, tie up in tight, 30 to 50 feet of water, get in those kelp beds and start tossing these soft plastic, lead-headed jigs, soft plastic, 1 or 2 ounce jig head and a soft plastic. And you have all these different patterns and colors. You know, motor oil is a good one, this red in these chartreuses, purple with this blue glitter in there just for whatever reason, and this double tail, whatever it is about them, sea bass and those other creatures that live amongst those kelp beds. And sometimes you get them small lingcod in there too. We've caught them smaller lingcod in that shallow water. A lot of people think you don't find those lingcod in there. But you know what, guys? It's as simple as this is an 8.5 foot, 8 to 20 pound spinning rod. Perfect size, perfect strength. Because once in a while you get one of them portly, 6-7 pound sea bass. They put up a pretty good fight, and you're fighting them against that current and whatnot. So I use nothing more than there's a 3000 series pen reel, which is ideal for your salt conditions because it's all sealed, designed for that type of fishing. Got some braided line on there, 25 pound top shot. And then I also put, Tommy, about 14 inches or so above my lure, I do put a barrel swivel or a short chain swivel, because if this thing is spinning in current and whatnot when you're retrieving it in after you've jigged it back towards you, and it spins, it's gonna spin your line up tremendously. So you got to have something in there that spins, and I rely on that barrel swivel just above your presentation, because I tie that directly to the eyelet on that jig head. And the nice thing is, once you tie that jig on, you can change out any color pattern and quick change outs. You're going to find out what they're hitting on that day based on sunlight, based on time of day, based on cloud cover, what have you. But
now, are you going with a lighter leader here or a heavier leader than what your main line is?
Typically I'd run a lighter one. I actually just cut this and tied this on for demonstration purposes, but you can drop that by, say, 5 pounds on your test. I could put a 30 pound top shot, run a 20 pound here. If it gets gnarred up by the teeth on them bass after a couple of them, just change it out. Don't take chances, but you just run your fingers down that after you catch each one, and if it's not frayed or in any way changed, just go ahead and keep fishing it. Nice thing is, if you do get hung up on something, you got a breaking point built into your system,
and that's kind of why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
So we were joking earlier, right? Because we were talking about, like, which how-to should we do tonight?
Right.
And you're like, oh yeah, throw plastics in the kelp, and I'm like, oh yeah, what are you going to use? Are you going to use the lizard or the frog, right?
Right.
And
I'm fogging it. Yeah.
Maybe talk a little bit about, we're right outside the kelp, and how heavy of a lead head is that?
That's a 1 ounce. No, that's not a 1 ounce. That's I don't know what that is. 2 ounce. That's a 2 ounce. It doesn't take much more than that.
Right. Because you're fishing shallow, right? You're 30 to 50.
That's a 2 ounce, and you know what? You literally are casting to the edge of the kelp, and you let it sink. It's kind of like what we were doing with those triploids over at Rufus.
Yeah, right.
I'm letting it sink, and then I'm reeling, and I'm giving a little twitch. I'm just getting that soft plastic to flutter, and it's a elevation change, and it goes up and down. Typically, right as it drops and pendulum starts pendulum away from that kelp bed, they come out from under the kelp. They're hanging around that kelp because they're feeding.
Yeah.
The kelp is inundated with small fish seeking cover, and those sea bass and whatnot come up out of the from the bottom. That's why they're not in very deep water, and they ambush those small fish. So this mimics just a small bait fish swimming away from the kelp. It's out there by itself, and they come out and they pop it. Now, one thing you got to be aware of is if you are in an area where you do see a few pinnipeds swimming around, and you get a sea bass on, you better get to work and get that sucker in quick, because they will come steal your fish.
They do.
So yeah, multiple colors, load your box with soft plastic, jig heads. Not a bad way to go, and a good way to have a lot of fun. The kids absolutely love this because it's really very involved, casting and retrieving, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, let's cover the other part of this board now. So what I brought to the table tonight, usually people think of pipe jigs. Right, well, and if you're not familiar with our Northwest fisheries, and I show you something like this, you're probably thinking, what in the heck this guy went to a hardware store and he's using this to catch fish. But believe it or not, this is a copper pipe. It's filled with lead. You got two metals that are at the exact opposite ends of the Noble scale.
Right.
Okay. And so you are creating this microelectric current that just drives lingcod specifically nuts, right? So this is our tool for lingcod. Now bass will also hit this. Okay. You know, the other thing is if you're familiar with the pipe jig, usually you think, oh yeah, we're going to go fishing in 400 feet of water. We're using a 2-pound pipe jig, but you don't see a lot of people go inshore and say, hey, you know what? Does that tactic work inshore?
Sure.
And it absolutely does. And when I say inshore, I'm talking about like 120 feet of water or less. Now, I want to show you a couple things. We're going to go to the board, and I'm going to talk you through how to build one of these from scratch so that you can do this. Okay, so as we look down here, I'm going to move these plastics aside for just 1 second.
Please do.
And you got a couple different sizes here, but I just want to talk through the mechanics of this first. You're going to notice with these pipe jigs that, and this goes for any pipe jig, the hook never goes below the pipe jig, and it never comes above the pipe. It's really important because you don't want to get the hook hung up on the bottom, and you don't want to snag it in the rocks, and you don't want it to come around and wrap the top of your line. Now, as far as, so really what that says is that your hook size is dependent on the length of your pipe jig. And that's why you're going to notice that on this pipe jig next door, I've got something that's a little bit less than a 1/2 inch, maybe about 3/8 diameter, but I've got a bigger hook. And that's simply because I can get away with it. I'm going to run the biggest hook that I can on the bottom without going below or above the pipe. And it's as simple as that. And you can get as fancy as you want or not, but you're looking at 3 different diameters here, and you're looking at different weights too. So, you know, if you go into 120 feet of water, maybe you're going to use this guy over here, which is more in the 8-ounce range. And if you're in shallow on a hard pan bottom or a rocky area, maybe you're going to step over here and you're going to use something that's in the 4-ounce range. Okay. Now, the other thing that's extremely important is the hardware. So we're going to look at the hardware here for a second, the action end of the equation. Okay. So you've got your treble hook. And by the way, just so you know, this is a 2-aught. This is a 4-aught, and this over here is a 6-aught. And you're going to size appropriately, but that gives you a rough idea of the sizes of these hooks. Now, the important thing is you're going to have a barrel swivel that attaches to the cotter pin that is in the pipe. So as you look really closely right here, that's the tip of a cotter pin sticking out. Attached to that is your barrel swivel. Attached to that is a heavy duty split ring, and then the split ring attaches to your treble hook. Now, the split ring here, the split ring has to be a large enough diameter in order to get through the eye of the treble hook without plastically deforming that split ring. Okay, now that's the key. Now, once you have that in the equation, you have something that spins. So if a lingcod hits this, and you know, you honestly don't know if you're going to get a 15-incher or a 25-pounder. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of inshore fishing, or an 80-pound halibut, which we've caught inshore. Yeah. And so this gear is really sized for any fish. And even though we might not be able to catch that 80-pound halibut, I still want to bring him to the boat, take some pictures, and release him anyway, right? Yeah. Now, one other important fact is we go back to the board and you look at this setup, you're going to notice that I put some heat shrink around the pipe. Okay, and that is purely to cover the tips of that cotter pin. So your line,
drilled, it goes all the way through, and then you pull them and bend them around the pipe and secure them.
That's right.
So it doesn't pull back through.
Right.
And then you cover it so it doesn't hook on stuff.
It doesn't hook on stuff. It doesn't hook on your line. Yep. And now the other thing I'll tell you is when you're pouring these, okay, you're pouring lead, and one day we will do a how-to just on the pouring itself, but I will tell you that safety is paramount. Okay. When you have that raw lead, you want to bring it into your house and heat it up the day before, okay? So if there's any moisture around, or maybe even in that lead, you want to get out as much as you can. Number 2, as soon as you start to melt the lead, you need to have some sort of screen over the pot. Don't use an aluminum pot. You'll regret it, and you'll have a hole in your aluminum pot after you're done. Use a steel pot, cast iron pot, okay? Now, when it's melting down for the very first time, don't stand there and watch it. okay? Monitor it from afar, because what happens is this lead, whether you go and you find a downrigger ball that you want to melt down or some form of raw lead, it can have voids inside of that material and water will collect. And water and lead and heat are a disaster. It's an explosion, okay? You don't want to get it on you, your face, etc. So those are a couple key things about melting lead. We'll cover that how to, but that is your basic. Oh, and one more thing. Let's go back to the board one more second. I got to mention this. So as you look inside of these pipes, you're going to see stainless steel cable. Now I went overkill because I had this. This is 500-pound stainless steel cable. You definitely don't need to use it. I ran it down inside the pipe. It's never coming out. And then I put a barrel swivel at the top where I can attach my line to. And really, that's the A to Z on how to rig these. Now, there is a right way to fish these jigs, okay? And there's a wrong way. The absolute right way is you want this jig to pound the bottom with maximum velocity. You want to ring the dinner bell, okay? If you're just kind of like, like Dwayne does,
how was that?
You're not going to catch any fish.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
Lingcod love these. This is lingcod candy.
They like noise. I laid this one here just for reference. This is a store-bought. This is a 1 pound.
Yeah.
And that is a $10 lure.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why? So you may say, well, why would I make these? Well, if you're going to fish pipe jigs, at times you're going to lose pipe jigs.
Yeah.
A 1 pounder, okay, $10.
Yeah.
We can go up from there.
Yeah. It gets expensive.
It gets expensive, these are obviously this is a pipe jig without the treble hook. It's got the eyelet at the top that we hook a swivel to, and we're fishing, right? I can also use this in another fashion, like we're out there in that 100, 140 foot depth that we're dropping these down and jigging. I want to use bait. You know me, if you followed me for the last several years or 10 years, stick leads are kind of my go-to in many applications, right?
Yeah, what you got over there?
Well, I looked at that 1 pound narrow stick lead and I was like, that's a stick lead, right? And so I'm going to use an 8-inch spreader bar. I'm going to use that as to drop that lead down. It's going to do two things. It's going to send off that electronical signal that they pick up on, right?
Yep.
So it's going to have that going for it. It's going to make noise when it's banging. I can also put that leader on there and multi-wrap, multi-hitch. It doesn't matter if I'm using a piece of herring, a trout, or whatever. I've caught lingcod in shallower water using a 1 pound pipe jig in the form of a stick lead off my short spreader bar and using bait. So there's
the reason,
options.
Yeah, the reason for that is if you're using cannonballs, number one, they roll around the boat. You can't bring them on my boat.
Right.
And the other thing is they get stuck in the rocks. You know,
Constantly.
you go down, you're bouncing bottom, and you could be keeping your gear, up out of the rocks, and then as soon as you go down that next drop to tap bottom, you put it right in the crevice. And it's game over.
And it sweeps, and then it gets locked. In this here, much like the actual stick leads we use for river fishing and everything else, narrow, slender, it's going to bang, you're going to get it out, it's going to come back out. Those crevices, I mean, think about the structure you're fishing where lingcod like to lie. They're an ambush predator. They're coming up out of the holes and the crevices in the rocks. You get this down there, it seldom gets hung up. It works fantastic.
Yep.
So just some options.
And you bring them in with that, they hear the lead, they react to the lead and the copper, and then they see the bait, right? And they key on the bait, and it's game over.
A lot of different ways to do it. These work just as well in many options that you have. These big soft plastics on this 1 pound jig head, multiple colors. Motor oil is a great one. These big white grubs, red, they all work, okay? The thing is with these 1 pound jig heads, and by the way, Tommy, they don't give these away either.
No, they don't.
Lead is expensive, right? So I'm paying for a 1 pound jig head or jig lead here, and I'm fishing it in the fashion of a stick bait, putting a bait on there, seldom getting hung up. I do like to use these. They're very effective and they work well, but you're banging those off the rocks, and those jagged rocks and structure where lingcod live, you lose a ton of these.
You do.
You absolutely lose a ton of these. So bring your wallet because it's going to get skinny by the end of the day. It's a great option. You get a lot of these lead heads, you get your jigs, you get your soft plastics, you go fishing. It works. It all works. It's just a matter of how much you want to leave on the bottom of the ocean.
That's right. You know, and if you know your area, I mean, if you know your area and you know that it's like a hard pan bottom, not like you're dropping off of Mount Everest. You can go with these all day, and you're pretty safe. But if you're trying to drop off, the Twin Peaks, and you drop from 60 feet down to 200, there's a chance you're going to find yourself losing a lot of gear.
Yep.
So
rely on your electronics, find your hard bottom, find your jagged rock structures, fish where you find success, and bring enough gear to make sure you make it to the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us in the bait lab, unless you have something else.
No, that's everything, my friend.
That's going to do it for us here in the bait lab this week. We're going to jump out for a quick break. When we come back, part 2 of our Sekiu Blackmouth fishery. We're going to close it out, and then we'll be back in studio to close out the show. So don't go anywhere. Stick through the break. We come back, Sekiu Blackmouth with Matt Messing, Messing Around Fishing Charters. Here we go. Defiance boats are built without any structural wood materials. That is why we back our boats with a lifetime warranty. All of our Defiance boats come standard with large fish boxes that are fully insulated so that you can ice your fish properly all day. Defiance boats feature a 21 to 22 degree dead rise at the transom and a large reverse chine for incredible handling and stability offshore. Defiance boats are foam flotation filled and unsinkable for the ultimate in safety while fishing offshore. Defiance boats feature fuel-efficient hull designs with large fuel tank capacity so that you can have maximum fuel range for making long offshore runs completely safe and affordable. All Defiance boats come standard with self-bailing decks for improved safety while at sea. Defiance Boat offers all our boats with Honda outboard packages so that you can take full advantage of the reliability and 5-year top-to-prop warranty from your Honda outboard. Defiance Boats for all your boating needs, and let us help you get out on the water.
Today, the need for quality private security services is at an all-time high. Contract Security Service provides day-to-day peace of mind as they protect people and property. Phoenix Protective Corporation strives for excellence. Above all, Phoenix security officers are managed by leaders trained to inspire and encourage greatness. Here at Phoenix, we provide service for multiple state and federal contracts, with service ranging from uniform, patrol, alarm monitoring, canine detection, executive protection, as well as investigative work. We here at Phoenix are looking for highly motivated individuals to apply. If you're a vet, retired or active, and would like to work with us, please apply.
So we're about a half hour into the...
You have a half hour into outgoing? Yeah, outgoing. Yeah. We're just about at slack tide here.
About a half hour into outgoing.
Good head shake.
Oh yeah.
Did a quick little change of location where we're finding anything really on the other side there. Fish on. I think just dogging you down,
yeah. might be one of those that's snagged at it, and then you got to hook in the fin or something.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of got this,
coming in all good.
well, he's just got this weird angle to him, and the shape feels weird.
Yeah.
So. Feels strong. Now we got chopped up.
What's coming up? What's coming up? It's spinning. You got anything?
Yeah.
Oh, I keep forgetting the quick disconnect.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that thing still spinning? It's not working. All right.
Not real big, but he's hooked.
Oh my
big.
God, yeah, that's a good one. Oh man.
Let me get his head up. Woo! Right in the mouth. Right where they should be, huh? Better be a hatchery. Is it really? Yep. Wild. Doggone it. Alright, I got that. Release. Well, get around this way. Sorry, you good? Oh, that was a decent finger off. Oh, this thing is tied up. Yeah, he was coming around. That was kind of weird, man.
Here you go, buddy.
Gone. What are you gonna do? Wild fish. But that was a we put that gear down. So here's the deal. We're trolling outwardly west on a west heading here. We're trolling out west. Trolling out west.
We're going out west.
We're heading out west. We had been fishing an outgoing tide all afternoon.
All afternoon.
We banged a couple fish that just ghost fish, not marking any bait. We did a long drag. We headed way out there.
We went way down.
Rollers are starting to kick in, wind's picking up. We got this weather system moving in. We were hoping to fish tomorrow morning, but we may not get to. So we're gonna grind it out here late into the day. So we ran all the way back up here east, turned around, dropped here, 5 minutes maybe.
5 minutes, boom, boom, double.
And we had a double on. And that fish was a wild. Matt lost his like he always does.
I lost mine, yeah.
So anyway, we're gonna get the gear back in. We're gonna keep heading west on this until we get out to that crappy water. We'll turn back around.
Turn back around and do it again.
Okay.
Rinse and repeat.
I like it. Slight change in the weather.
Wind's ripping now.
Hey Matt, I don't think we're fishing tomorrow.
No, I think tomorrow's gonna be up.
I think we're sleeping in maybe and heading for home, but we'll see. We got
fish in the box. Can't complain.
And we put back a couple wilds, and we're just trying to grind it out here for another half hour, maybe hour, depending on how much this wind picks up.
One more fish.
Yeah, you know.
One more fish we go.
We'll see. All right. See if we can't get them. Okay.
Yeah.
Little change in weather, mister.
Yeah, it changed on us real fast.
So we had really nice, pretty calm midday, 2 o'clock.
Flat and sunny.
You know, sun's flat out.
Sunny.
We knew this storm was rolling in.
Yeah.
And we knew that by this evening it's going to be pretty tossed up out here and windy. It showed up maybe 5 hours early.
Way early.
So
way early.
We are right about there. We're about ready to pull the plug here. Wind waves are getting pretty sporty out here,
as you can see.
We got a couple in the box. 360 flashers and spoons. You guys have seen what we've done today. Little afternoon run out to here. We knew we'd get a mid-morning, late morning, early afternoon start fishing an outgoing tide.
Yep.
Which that means the water was actually running out.
Going west.
Heading west, and we trolled west, and we were successful in what Matt refers to as ghost fish. We weren't marking any bait.
Nothing.
We weren't marking any fish, and every once in a while a rod would go off, we'd pick off a fish. we did a long troll way down, got into the good sized rollers as this wind started building and turning. So, and we fished right to the bottom of the outgo, right into the low slack.
Right to it. We moved around, you know. Don't be afraid to move around. Tried an area, found some stuff, and
fish.
And we got a fish. Here we go. Well, we moved around, guys. Don't be afraid to move around.
216 on the dip.
Little guy. I don't feel a lot of big holes. Oh, never mind, maybe not. There it is. Look at him go.
Like it.
Hey, you never know unless you're trying.
Might be the one to end today on.
It'd be a good one to end today. A fish apiece, man. We all got, oh yeah.
See, much better than we thought.
He's getting better. Oh, he's getting bigger. I always like it when they grow and they get closer.
Anyway, what's interesting is we have an incoming pretty gusty wind. Oh yeah.
There he is. We're up.
We have an incoming tide, and we're still fishing the same direction because the way the current is. What do you got?
Yeah, current dumping out on us. We're going against the tide, against the wind, and here we go. Here's the fish.
Yep.
Coming in and out. Woo!
That's right there at me.
That's a keeper if you ain't got a fin on him.
Real close. He's at least 22. We know that.
No fin.
All right.
No fin.
Bringing him in. Spoon's out, huh?
No fin. Bring him in, guys.
No fin. Bring him in. Well, there you go. Now we just got another one. So
well, that's how it is, fellas. Woo-hoo-hoo. Fish on deck.
Blackmouth.
I love it. In the snotty.
Well, Matt, there you go, man.
Yeah, we did it.
We're back in. You know what's crazy is we're obviously out of the water now, and it's getting towards evening. Yeah. And if we got up tomorrow morning and it was like this, and you didn't check your weather and just head on out,
I'd go.
You're gonna go.
I'd go.
But you get out there just around the corner a little bit, and it's a different story, and it's starting to blow in pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's a whole new world out there.
What is it tomorrow? Projected 12 to 14 gusts of 20?
12 knot plus up to max of 20, 25 or something like that. Just
so that's
not
pretty
fun.
No, that's pretty much a no-go tomorrow. So I mean, we had everything today. We had, nice afternoon. We had some sunshine, pretty flat water. We had that outgoing tide we talked about earlier. We caught fish.
Yep.
We were not marking fish. We were finding very little bait. We would find that ghost fish, as it were. Then we ran back up, and we were trolling back out on the incoming with a wind hitting us square in the face.
Yep.
And you would
against
think
tide, against wind.
But when we were at the bottom end, we turned around and started trolling in with that incoming. That became problematic.
Speed. Yeah, no speed.
And the scope on that line was clear to the back corner of the boat.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we can't fish this way.
Unfishable.
Yeah. So we ran all the way back to the other end, turned around, going against wind, going against incoming current. But the current push had us going in the right direction. So
it's all just going out
and we hit fish right away. So, it's not always by the book as far as, what you are thinking based on what you think about the direction that tides is. It is it coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You look at the main formulas, right?
Right.
We didn't follow any of that.
No. No.
Basically, we took that book, we crinkled it up, and we threw it overboard.
Basically, we based it off of presentation line angle troll speed. Okay, and that proved effective. We got about 8 fish to the net. We released wild fish. We kicked back, obviously, the shakers, the sublegals, and we kept 3 legal hatchery adults. So to run out here for an afternoon fishery, there's a few boats in the marina, but it's not crazy crowded here midweek. It's actually
nobody here.
Nobody here. So
pick your spot, fish it.
If it wasn't going to blow in tomorrow morning, we would do this again, and we'd go home with possibly a couple limits of blackmouth. So
or rockfish.
We'd
be going lingcod fishing tomorrow.
We'd be heading out to the outer edge there and go get some rockfish and some lingcod. Yeah. But that's the options that you got here. The blackmouth fishery will continue through the end of April. You got an entire month, 5 weeks got 5 weeks of fishing out here
There's
still.
tons of opportunity.
And there's a lot of blackmouth out here, and with the lack of opportunity everywhere else, this is one place to definitely come up and do. Pulling overnight, or we're staying in the hotel here. You know, and again, we'd be fishing tomorrow, but we're gonna probably pack up, get breakfast, and hit the road for home. So with that, buddy, it's good to connect again. Get up here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Get a little time on the water. If we were to turn around and go home right now, we would have actually spent more time on the road today than we did on the water.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I don't like doing those.
It had been a 6-hour drive with like 3 hours fishing.
3 to 4,
3 to 4 hour fishing. Yeah.
So
a lot more road time than anything else, but
hey, successful, and
we got food.
And it's all about
fun.
Opportunity and location. Sometimes you just got to hook up the boat and go. So I would suggest if you are waiting, there's no need to wait. Check your weather windows. We're rolling into April. Weather's going to be pretty decent as we roll into spring here. The blackmouth are here, the opportunity here. You have a 2-fish limit, and today was all spoons, no scent.
No scent? No. I mean,
no scent.
I'm a very basic fisherman. I'm that basic fisherman guy, you know. No scent.
A couple different flasher presentations. Yeah. A couple different spoons. And
keep it simple and keep it in the water.
Keep it in the water. So, all right, that's going to do it for us here in Sekiu. We are going to jump out for a quick break.
It's dinner time.
It's dinner time.
Yeah, we got some salmon to eat.
Yes, we do. And then we'll be back in studio right after this. There you go, Tommy. That is a wrap on our Sekiu outing with Matt. We had some interesting weather transition as we got to the later part of the afternoon. But
yeah, it's too bad the weather didn't hold out for you guys. You could get a good whack at them the next day. They're there, obviously.
Oh, there's fish there. I mean, you got a 2-fish limit. There's hardly anybody there during the week. The fishing's great. We're staying in around that 200-foot line finding fish. And we kept referring to it in the video as you watched ghost fish because we weren't really marking fish and we certainly weren't finding bait. And you know the old adage on blackmouth is find that bait and there's that. Find that bait, find the fish, right? So we just kept grinding away, trolling the direction the current would allow us to do so. Nothing fancy. Matt doesn't use scent. I should have brought some of my Pautzke's fire gel. You and I are big believers in that. Herring scent, anchovy, whatever. Put it on your spoons, put a little on your flasher. But, it didn't matter. Those fish are snappy. They're feeding. And the bigger of the 3 had a couple herring in the belly.
Okay.
So they're feeding.
That's good.
They're feeding, right? Yeah. So that was good to see. The females have little immature eggs. So, yeah, typical blackmouth this time of year. So, always a good time. Looking forward to getting the boat, which is nearly done out there at Defiance. They saw the pictures I swung in on our way back. Josh and I popped in there.
I saw that.
Got caught up with Dawn over some of our graphics, and we also looked at the boat, took some exterior pictures, because I really didn't have yet any good exterior pictures. So I grabbed those, threw those up, and yes, I am just waiting to get that bad boy.
Yeah, Jordan is going to let me borrow one of his fish stockings so I can put it over a bottle of champagne and crack the bow of your boat.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, sure, why not?
Looking forward to it.
So the boat is coming soon. We'll get the electronics on there. Hoping to get it so we can actually make a run out there, get a day or 2 in at Sekiu before it's all said and done. Because the next time we get back out there will be with the 29-foot, heading out deep into the ocean, go get
Releasing
some big
halibut,
right?
Yep.
So things to look forward to, man. We got a lot of fisheries coming up over the next several months. It's a great time of year. We got some turkey hunts just around the corner. On the east side, we have some lake openers coming up. We got some big kokanee on the east side to go after.
Springer's next Friday.
Huh?
Springer's next Friday.
Springer's next Friday.
Yep.
And we got May 1st bottom fish opener on Puget Sound. We got shrimping in May to look forward to. We got a ton of things. It's going to go
wide open, man.
Wide open. A lot of it coming to you via video content we will produce and have here in studio as part of our week-to-week curriculum. So outstanding, man. Looking forward to it. All right. ran a little long because that's what we do here on Fish Hunt Northwest. So, hey, if you got things you're out doing during the week and want to post your pictures and whatnot, we'd love for you to share your pictures and your outings and your successes and failures here at Fish Hunt Northwest on our Facebook page. Hit us up on Instagram. Go to our YouTube channel and hit subscribe so you never miss anything. Jump over to our webpage, www.fishhuntnw.com. Check out our online store with all the different logo items, wares, new line of hats, coasters, beer pints. We got all kinds of great stuff. Shing is doing a fantastic job there. And of course, Jinglin Jigs of all different sizes and varieties. Coho season's not too far off. You got to start getting those twitch and jig orders in now so that kid stays busy tying and keeping nimble fingers. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Be back here next Thursday, 6 p.m. right here in studio with another fantastic lineup. Be sure to join us and tell all your friends to jump on as well. And we will see you next Thursday right here out of studio.